I just want to show you something which I should have prepared earlier. It's going to take me about 5 seconds to grab. Just bear with me.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
Now, what we have here is my delightful battle jacket. And if we
Oh,
zoom in,
nice. Oh, yeah.
oh
My man.
my,
Hell yeah. That rules.
honestly, one of my favorite grind albums of all time. I know Brutal Truth purists like to be, I'm all about, extreme
Yeah.
reactions and the early shit, but that was the album that got me into you guys.
Oh, that's killer, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. YouTube
That's
just
awesome to
randomly.
hear. I'm very proud of that record.
Oh man, you should be. YouTube just randomly recommended the video for Sugar Daddy, and I remember seeing this and being like, "Who the fuck is this hairy dude with a cowboy hat? Who is this
Yeah.
drummer who looks like he's having a seizure? And is this even a guitar riff?" There was something about your it was just this distorted just wall of noise. Like I couldn't even
Yeah.
tell where the notes were, and I fell in love.
Hell yeah. Nice. Nice. That rules, man. I love it.
Yeah, that whole album is just killer, and it remains to this day my favorite Brutal Truth album. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, man, well done.
Oh, that's great, man. That's
Before we get
great. Thank you.
so, while we're on the subject of it, before we get into Sully, what do you kind of remember about that time? Because I believe that was your entry into Brutal Truth, wasn't it? There were two lifespans of the band, and you came in the second half. Is that accurate?
There was say that one more time again. There
Sorry.
was
So there were two lineups of Brutal Truth,
oh yeah.
and they came back after a hiatus in the mid 2000s, and that was when you joined. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it was in I think 2006 that I joined Brutal Truth, and my buddy Jody was going to do it for a minute because I was jamming with Danny and Nuke, and uh, I recommended my friend Jody to play guitar because I just wasn't sure if my time was going to work out, you know. And I've always been a Brutal Truth fan since the beginning. But I just wasn't sure if I was able. So Jody did a couple shows, but he had some border trouble going into Canada because he had something on his record. So Danny asked me again, and then I joined, and we toured for a little bit and did a set comprised of all the old fucking killer tunes. Our set was long. It was a million songs. It was killer. I got to play all the songs that I fucking love. You know, it was total killer moment. You know, and then writing that first record, Evolution, with him. That was that was the first time that like my riffs were ever kind of on displayed in a international way, you know, with a band that had a name and the production's razor sharp, you know, my guitar sounds. I was really proud of the guitar sound and all the songs came together so great, and jamming with those guys was awesome. And yeah, that album I fucking love to death. It's killer. I love End Time too.
Yeah.
I wish it was mixed a little differently, but I like that one too.
Were you? Was it sad to see Brutal Truth go?
Yeah. I wasn't in a very good spot in my life when I left the band in 2012, and so I needed to figure a few things out, and I wasn't able to commit the time needed for the band, so that's why I left. And there's a few other little things as well, um, but yeah, you know, we get approached randomly throughout the years to try and reform, and every now and then I hit the guys up to come on, let's do it. You know, let's do one more set or something, and they all laugh at me. So you know, whatever.
Mate, I imagine if Richard Hoke is as hard to get uh to get an email back from regarding a fucking rehearsal as he is an interview request, because I've been chasing him for years, and I'll
Oh
email him,
yeah.
and like I won't hear a response for like 2 months, and then he'll respond and it's like, "Hey, you want to do something?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. When do you want to do it?" Another 2 months will go.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know he's a family man now, so I know that takes up a lot of his time. You know.
This is true. Was
Yeah.
it ever distracting when you're playing and you just turn around and just see this bloke?
Oh, dude. He. Oh yes. So super fucking super maniac, man. I mean, it was it. He taught me a lot in in how to how to get in and out of parts that I'm not ready for. You know, like we could be tight as fuck, but at the same time, in that tightness, like there's a weird roller coaster going on in the middle of it. You know, so like there was it's it's something I definitely appreciated a little more when I wasn't doing it anymore, you know, because I thought about I think about it all the time and it'd be like, man, there's just there was a fluidity to the insanity, you know, to all the loose ends, everything was still tied, you know, so it was kind of, you know, every now and then we might fall off the rails, but we would make do with it, you know. It'd be like, all right, this is what's going to happen now, you know, who knows what's going to happen now, so
Yeah.
let's just, hey, let's go with it and still make it who we are, you know, not fall apart at the seams, build a new fucking bridge to get to where we got to go, you know. It was pretty fucking awesome, man, you know. And it's something that I wish uh it's something that is only captured in that band, you know. Like I couldn't be like, hey, I want to do a band. Like I've wanted to do a band like Brutal Truth ever since. That's kind of like what I wanted Sully to be, but it's not going to be quite like that. But it's I want it to be a freight train like that, you know.
It's that the way you described it was that is a perfect way of describing Richard's drumming. He's one of my favorite drummers because
Yeah.
it sounds so chaotic and so loose, but just as you think it is about to collapse into absolute chaos, the son of a bitch just brings it back. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like,
Yeah. He was there all along. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I
The
was just
method to
looking,
the madness.
I was just looking over your shoulder. Is that Michael Madsen? Is that Mr. Blonde from Reservoir Dogs?
Behind
Over
you?
your shoulder on the wall behind the shelf. Is that Michael Madsen? Other side.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got a giant uh I used to collect well, I used to for a short period of time in fuck, it was probably in the early 90s. Um I was collecting movie posters from this one CD shop. It was a used CD shop, and they had all those fucking giant ones. And yeah, I had that one, and then there's a Pulp Fiction that you can kind of
Nice.
see right there behind Neil Diamond. I got Sam Jackson over there, and just
Nice.
oh, and then you can't see who that is, but that was John Travolta. he wound up
Ah!
he wound up behind the CD case. So
I
uh,
am loving live, laugh, grind.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I got that as a gift when we moved into our home from uh, the drummer in my other band Sulaco, and he had a buddy of ours make it for me. So yeah, I just got it not too long ago.
I love it. Mate, so let's talk Sully. How did the band come together?
Well, me and Adam, the singer. Adam used to sing in a band called Psyopus that had a good run in the 2000s. They put out a few records. They toured a bunch. They went through a couple lineup changes. Things changed a little bit, but it was still the same crazy fucking manic shit. Um,
Insanity. Yep.
yeah, and I've always been a fan of Adam's vocals. He's a fucking lunatic. So kind of like how I said before, I've always missed the presence of Brutal Truth and playing in a band like that, where it's one guitar, one bass, one sing, one drum, everyone's heard individually, and um, me and him we're talking for a while, and then COVID happened, and during COVID, he was telling me how Psyopus is possibly going to be getting back together. And I'm like, well, that's fucking great, And he's found this drummer and a local guy, and but they couldn't really commit to practice. So I'm like, well, dude, why don't you, me, and this new drummer dude you're talking about, let's get together and just fucking, I got some riffs, let's just fucking bang something out. Let's bang on a tune and see what happens, And that was a tune that's on the record called Stool Pigeon. And the drummer we had at that time, his name was Dan, and we wrote a bunch of tunes with him and did a demo. And Dan was unable to stay in the band anymore for certain beliefs he has, and we don't really understand Dan all too well, so so we don't really jam anymore. I'll try and keep it nice, and but then our buddy Alex stepped in and saved the day, and we showed him all the new stuff and all the stuff we wrote with Dan, and then we wrote a few extra tunes with Al, and then there's a couple little ditties on there that are off of a solo project I have from years ago called BCT, and yeah, that was it. We tracked the record in our jam room, and the guitar player from my other band, Sulaco, his name's Brian Mason. He recorded it and mixed and mastered it, and we kept it nice and raw. There's a couple. It's certainly not polished by any means. There's a couple little timing things and little shits throughout it, but that's what makes it. I like to try and keep it. That's how we do it, So we try not to move things around in the computer a lot, If there's something blatant that we got to move, then it's cool. But all the little nooks, the ringing strings and miss shits. Hey man, sometimes that's what happens. So that's kind of how it went, and we're pretty proud of it. I think it represents us pretty well.
It's great having those little bits of magic. Like this is going to sound like a kind of random example, but Max Cavalera has a project that he has with his son called Go Ahead and Die. And
yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, their first album, I think it's a song called Truck Full of Dead Cops or something. Great name. Or Truckload Full of Bodies or something, whatever. But there is this moment in the middle of the track as they're jamming, and it literally sounds like the drums just fall out of sync. Like it sounds like it's a bad drum take, but they kept it in, and there's something about it that I still remember because I was like, that just sounds so fucking punk rock.
yeah. I appreciate that shit too. When I listen to some of the old death metal and stuff before they started Pro Tool and everything, you hear some off double bass and you hear stuff like that. I love that shit, man. I'm like, everything is perfect now with a lot of I still like the old shit where stuff is a little off and dudes are fucking struggling for it or they're killing it, and maybe their feet are going a little too fast over their snare, whatever. Who gives a shit? They're going for it. So it's killer.
Yeah. Mate, the logo, I noticed, the logo of Sully, you've bucked against the trend of just doing, some hideous barbed wire thing that looks like it should be on an obscene, the obscene extreme poster. And it's like, come see our collection of barbed wire. What was the concept behind
it? Actually, it wasn't the logo. It was our bass player, Ed, got a hold of a local artist in town. Her name is Kimbo. And I don't know the conversation they exactly had, but it worked out to where he commissioned her to, do a logo for us. So and she gave us a couple different versions of it. One that has the bird on top, and then one that's just the word. And it was very like when we got it, it was like, fuck, man, that's kind of like official looking, you know. It's kind of sharp, you know. And we're like, yeah, I think that's all right. That's all right. We'll roll with that. Everyone was pumped on it, so it was good. It was a good feeling. It's nice when everyone agrees on something, you know.
It's nice to be distinct, particularly in a, you know, I've done a couple of logos for bands, and the ones that people like the most are the ones that buck against the trend of what people are expecting. Like, you know, as much as, you know, if you're a death metal fan and you just want something that, you know, just looks like a spiky, you know, and impossible to read, I mean, sure, that's very true and cool and stuff,
Yeah,
but the ones that people remember and the ones that will stand out on a gig poster are the
yeah,
ones that
yeah,
are completely unlike. And, you know, if you're, yeah, on this lineup where it's all just, you know, barbed wire, and then you've just got this really clearly,
yeah.
boldly designed thing, it's the shit people will look at, you know?
I agree. I agree. I remember seeing Party Cannon on a flyer that was like 20 bands and they all had pointy things. And then Party Cannon was like right in the middle. And like that was the one you could read, you know. I was like, that one's the good one. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
they're all like kind of cool, but you know, at the same time, that's exactly it.
yeah. Mate, what what were some of your formative gigs, you know, as a young person? Like, what were some of the shows that you remember going to see and you walked out of there like having really had it made an impression on you?
Well, it's probably some early stuff. Like definitely when I saw Obituary, uh, I think it was Obituary and Sadis and Sepultura. I think it was the Beneath the Remains tour, and I saw that in Buffalo, and it was just one of those moments where it was just so crushing. Uh, Seeing the Deicide Legion tour in Buffalo, that was fucking great because we got it on videotape. We brought in the giant camcorder. Me and Braun. Uh, Braun was my old drummer from Lethargy. He plays in Mastodon now. He brought in this giant ass video camera, and we sat there and recorded the whole video. I still have it. And the video is fucking awesome. The show is so good. Glenn Benton's banter is fucking amazing. It's so fucking funny. But
But
um, yeah, and then the Clash of the Titans, I think it was called, which was Napalm Death, Sick of It All, Sacred Reich, and Sepultura, I think was on that too. Yeah, that was for the Arise tour. Yeah, that one stayed in my mind bad. Uh, on the other side, a little bit, Mr. Bungle. When I saw Mr. Bungle in Toronto for Disco Volante tour, Melt Banana opened, and Melt Banana just completely crushed. And I was like, "What in the fuck was that?" That was when they were playing with a full band, which was fucking. I love them as a two piece, but them as a full band had more balls. But seeing Mr. Bungle was fucking awesome. Oh my god, so many shows. When I first saw Totem's Guard, first, this is the only time I saw him. I saw him in Europe. I think it was Hole in the Sky Fest. Brutal Truth played, and it, they they just made me insane after I fucking saw him play. It was I love seeing a band live and being floored and never heard of before. You know, um, it's something to look forward to, and then go back to the record. You know, but they were amazing. Um, First time I saw Ulcerate, they were here in town, and I started tearing up watching the drummer play. I get way too emotional when I get into my music, and
yeah,
watching those guys play. They played at a club here in town called the Bug Jar, and uh, it wasn't heavily attended, and I was probably 10 feet from the drummer because the drum set goes right to the edge of the stage pretty much. And it was right. And it was just one of the most beautiful sets I ever heard. The drummer's style is just so fucking great. And I think it was when they were touring for Destroyers of All, and that record is just fucking perfect. So that stained my mind pretty bad. I don't know. I could probably sit here and talk all night about that. Actually, shit, all the fucking random shows, man. There's so many good. There's so much good shit, you know.
I love what you're saying about Glenn Benton's stage banner. I interviewed him for the first time earlier this year, and I shit you not, as we are opening the Zoom call, like the camera comes on and he's there. Fucking ripping this bong. And I thought he was in his bathroom or something. At first I thought, you know how people can have that filter where they haze out the background. Then I realized,
yeah,
this bong smoke. He has literally been sitting in there doing interviews, just ripping dabs.
Just getting ripped. That's hilarious. I met him one time. Nuke played a fest with Deicide in 2019, and I met him briefly. He was a cool dude. Smoked a little with Steve. He was real nice too.
Oh dear. As someone who has, spent a lot of time on stage over the years, what are some of the strangest things you've seen in mosh pits when you've been performing?
In mosh pits. I mean, probably like, I don't know. I guess they're not. Well, one of them is kind of strange. When Nuke played, this isn't really strange. This is more cool. Like when Nuke played a Maryland Death Fest, there was a dude in a wheelchair that I think he was on top of the crowd in his chair, and they brought him all the way up to the stage. It was so sick. And then the other side is when Nuclear Assault played Obscene Extreme Fest in the Czech Republic, and there was a dude completely naked skanking on the stage with like 20 other people. And then it was just this dude's cock and balls bouncing around all over the place. And it's on the video. It's on fucking YouTube. This shit's hilarious, man. I'm like, what? This dude's right in front of me. I'm looking at my pedal board, and I look up, and this dude's buns are right there. I was like, what the fuck, dude? This shit's hilarious, man.
That has happened so many times in footage I've seen in Extreme. Like, there's always the some dude who is stark naked.
That's the best fest, man. I've been fortunate to do a lot of those Europe ones, and they're fucking amazing. But that Czech Brutal Truth, I played it a couple times with Brutal Truth and with Nuke, and it is so fun. People out there, man, are just they're amazing, and Chirby that runs it is great, and yeah, I'm hoping to try and get Sully over there at some point and get on that fest. That'd be that's the goal at the moment.
Awesome. Erik, man, thank you very much for your time. It has been rad finally getting to, the coolest part about doing this is getting to meet people who have made, a piece of art that has meant a great deal to you. And, when I was, a young guy in my early 20s, I would literally use Sugar Daddy to clear my wife's friends out of the room if they were annoying me because they were not metalheads. And I shit you not, we were in the car once, and we used to, this is before the days of Bluetooth and everything, so we'd make these really schizophrenic mix CDs where my wife is not a metalhead. She likes Celine Dion and a lot of female vocals. So
I can't even believe you just said Celine Dion. That's my lady's favorite. Yeah, nice work.
Gotta love a bit of Celine, and we would have these things where we would literally have like Celine Dion and then Slayer, and then this back and forth and back and forth, and we were riding around and we were cranking Sugar Daddy, and one of my wife's friends is in the back seat, and she goes, "Is the CD skipping?"
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Oh man, thank you so much, man.
Oh yeah,
Well done.
pleasure to meet you, dude. Nice talking with
Easy.
you.
No worries. I hope to see you in Australia one day. Have a great
I
day.
hope so, man. It would be great.
Have a good one. Bye.
Take care, man.